Yeah, if I don't show up. And that's the only way I can lose. And believe me, I will be there.
This is Daryl, Too Sweet Coley, 38-2, 28 knockouts, former #1 welterweight in the world, on the neutral corner with Jerry Sosa.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
You won't do shit.
Good evening, everyone. This is a special edition of the Neutral Corner. Daryl won't be with us tonight. He's on his way home from Philadelphia from a boxing event that he was at. Daryl, you know, as everybody know, world champion, ranked #1 in the world. He does this show with me, but he will not be here with us tonight because he is traveling back to Washington from Philadelphia, and so we'll have him Thursday night when we do our Thursday night show. But I have a special guest tonight, someone that I've been wanting to get on, very active in the boxing community, does a lot at his gym for young people, kids. I mean, you can get from the highest level to the beginnings level and in between all types of different classes. We're going to get into that tonight with him. Coach Mike from Love Is Box is with us tonight. Thank you for having you. Come on, and we'll get right with it. Here he is. How are you?
I'm good, pal. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. No, it's great to have you, and I think what you're doing at your gym is really good. I've got a chance to see some of your fighters fight before, and very well taught. It's technically sound. I see a lot of these young kids today fighting, and it's like, should they be in the ring at this age without the proper technique and learning? And I think what you guys do at Loves Boxing is really, really good. And I think it's important that when we're teaching young people, to teach them the proper technique and things like that. So, Mike, Love Is Boxing. So let's start off by asking you this question: where did the name from the boxing gym come from?
Very good question. So when my partner and I, John Burt, when we decided, hey, we want to bring a gym to Fall River and do something a little different, and we were trying to come up with a name. And first, it was we were bouncing off like Fall River Boxing Club, which we actually own the rights to too, just in case somebody tries to gank that. But yeah, we copyright that and own the rights of that, and the some internet rights as well, just in case we decided to do that. But so we were trying to come off with something that's appealing to the community, something that's all encompassing, something that you know as well as I do. Like, you don't have to have this really tough guy killer image to be good at this craft, right? And sometimes It's the exact opposite. Sometimes people are very skilled and are very good at this craft and have a heart of gold, right? So we wanted to make something very appealing to the entire Greater Fall River community. And then John said, hey, how about Loves? And I bounced that around. I'm like, oh man, I don't know,
Yeah.
And then just that one word, Loves, that tagline, you can drop that anywhere and be like, hey, I'm going to Loves, or Loves Boxing. And it kind of stuck, and it took off, and it's been branded. And when people hear that, it's something positive and it makes people smile. So that's kind of where the name originated from.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I actually like the name, Loves Boxing, because I love boxing. And when I first heard of the gym coming to Fall River, I was like, what is this gym, Loves Boxing? I was kind of intrigued to find out more about it, and looking into it and seeing you at numerous events, and seeing some of the people that you bring, and then watching them, and watching your interaction with your boxers. We call them fighters. I call them boxers, fighters. I go back and forth with that. Because it's not like fighting. It's boxing. It's an art. You know what I mean? There's technique to it, and there's a lot of training that goes into someone being able to box. But when I got a chance to see your guys, so I seen you doing not putting on but demonstrating at the Street Art Festival. I was very impressed with the mitts, and how you hold the mitts and things like that. And some of the people that you work with, I was impressed. And then I got a chance to see one of your younger fighters over at Gates of Portugal, and I was impressed. I was like, wow, he's using his jab, and people. I think jab is the most important punch in boxing, and we're seeing it starting to go away, and it's crazy. A lot of people want to be headhunters and throw those big bombs, but if they just realized how important the jab is, I mean, you can win a fight just with the jab. You know what I mean? So I think it's great what you're doing, and it was great to see that you're teaching these young people the right way. You know what I mean? And because I love boxing, boxing's rich in my family and history, going all the way back to the 40s. All my great grandfather was a trainer. My grandfather was a trainer. All my uncles were pro fighters. Have over 200 and something professional fights. But to see the way you teach and interact, I was impressed, and I was like, I like this. You know what I mean? So I had to introduce myself to you and get to know you a little bit, and learn a little bit more about your gym. I'm gonna want to come down to the gym. I was talking to you off air about when I was boxing. I boxed at the CYO for Ronnie Como. We used to travel to the PAL and the Petronelli's brothers gym up in Brockton, and it was always like when you walked into the gym, it was dark, it was dingy. You know what I mean? And it was a little scary at first for anybody that's just wanting to, stop boxing and walk up them long stairs at the PAL, and you hear the guys and you get in there and it's dark. But where I looked at Lovers Boxing, it was bright, it was clean, and that impressed me also. I think it's so inviting. So let's go through some of the programs that your gym offers. I'm thinking, I looked at your website, and you were offering total body strength and conditioning. Tell me a little bit about that program and how that got started.
So we try to focus on the entire person, right? Like, I came from the old school too, right? Just like you. Oh, that's awesome. That picture that's being shown. But that was from the other day, Halloween. But
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that stuff. But go ahead.
yeah, I'm sorry, I got distracted. But
That's okay.
the so I come from the old school where it wasn't really like I start like you were at CYO. I was across the street in the Bank Street Armory in the basement, right? That's where
I remember going there, Ronnie Como too.
That was where I first started, and then I made the transition over to Val's. But like, that's where I first started, and it was really just I mean, to be honest with you, it was very little. I mean, you learned your skill, but it was sparring heavy. It was a very sparring heavy, not too much really focusing on the whole person with stretching and plyometrics and hit training and conditioning. I mean, we all did road work, we all ran, we all skipped, but there really wasn't, in my experience, and people have different experiences,
No,
which
I
is
had the
fine.
same experience. You're right. You're right.
But in my experience, it wasn't the training methods and the methodologies isn't the same as it is today. So I've picked up a lot of these things throughout the years, and I've attended workshops, I've attended seminars, I've done all these things just to educate myself. Not before I even opened the gym, just throughout the years, just to educate myself. And I'm not getting any younger, and I just wanted to stay in shape and learn about these things. And I wanted to, and my partner and I wanted to implement this in the gym. So focusing on conditioning heavy. You won't see, if one of my guys in the ring gets gassed, that's either adrenaline dump or the moment's getting to them. It ain't going to be because they're out of shape, because all my guys are in tip-top shape condition and focusing on elongating their muscles and stretching, making sure that they're strong and working on speed and different methods that we have in the gym. So that's kind of what that class was about. Just getting that person as strong as possible without compromising their boxing conditioning, right? Without getting them over muscular or injury prone or things like that. Just getting them in the best physical shape as possible. and helping others, help people that are just struggling with weight in general, just not even people that are ready to compete, but 90% of our gym are just people coming in and training and just wanting to be healthier and happier, you know?
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense because you want these kids to be able to learn that stretching that muscle and getting that oxygen and that blood flowing and warming
Mhm,
up prevents injury, right? So you're right.
mhm.
When I was boxing, that was like on you to do. You know what I mean? Your road work, jump rope,
Yep.
sprints, and all that stuff. So it's good that and it's good that you're instilling that in young people. Diet, eating right, and how to
Mhm.
prepare for a match properly. Because I always said it, if you run out of gas, you're not going to be able to throw a punch and you're going to be in danger in that ring and you can get hurt. So that's a great, great program that you had. You know what I mean? And another thing you brought up that I really, really like is you can go to Love is Boxing and never step foot in a ring and box. You can go and get conditioning and work out.
Mhm.
Cardio is huge nowadays. People want to lose weight. And what people don't realize is, if you think you're in shape, if you really think you're in tip top shape, I want you to
Mhm.
go to Love is Boxing and I want you to hit the heavy bag for 3 minutes.
Mhm.
And then people are going
Yeah.
to realize there's a difference of being in shape and then being in fight shape. You know what I mean? So I think it's great that you have a program like that, the stretching and the conditioning and the strength, because that all plays a role in boxing. And I think that's where some other gyms, I don't want to say fail, but it drops off, right? You go in there and right away you're seeing guys hitting the bag and, hitting the speed bag and sparring and stuff like that. And I like that there's a I feel, and this is my opinion, Love is Boxing. It's a process, right? So if you want to get in that ring, we're not just going to put you in that ring and chance you getting injured or getting hurt really bad. There's a process, right? So we want to strengthen condition. We want to remember to treat the body right and eat the right foods and have really good conditioning there so we can defend ourselves. And it's that's just another plus. And I think this is what's gravitated me to your gym because it offers structure. You know what I mean? And these are things that lead up to getting in that ring. And I think that's why when I seen that young man, and Blaze has got a picture of him, his father was
Yeah.
wrapping his hands. So Blaze, you're going to see a young man, his father's wrapping his hands. I got a chance to see him actually perform at the gates of Portugal, and I was impressed. I was really impressed. This young
He
man right
actually
there.
he actually got that win back um on my show. He just dominated from bell to bell. It was a very proud moment for him because the refs actually called that fight because he got sick in the
Yeah.
corner.
You think
Um
you think you think he got? It was hot out that day, right? So we'll give it
oh,
that. It was hot. I mean,
it
and
was brutal.
nerves can be that when you're in. Was that his first time in a show?
Mhm.
Right. So nerves get to you, and you never look. And for the young man, if he's listening, I boxed for a long time. You're never losing. You're always learning something. He learned, and he might not know this now, but this young man's learned so much about himself just in that
Mhm.
performance, and I think it paid off in the event you just had at Love Is Boxing, and that's
Yeah,
a
and
pro.
he got it back. We did another show over the weekend. He did great in that. So it's just all experience. And it's something that you mentioned too about the process, Jerry, is that like, and I, when we train the kids or just folks in general that want to compete, like getting in that ring's a privilege. Like it's oh, that's an awesome picture too. Like getting in that ring is a privilege. Like you got to earn that privilege. You got to earn
Absolutely.
that right to get in there. Like, do you know how many times a month somebody comes in and says, "Oh, I want to get in there and do this, that, and the third?" Like, nah. Like that is a honor and a privilege to get in there. And until you're ready, you don't enter that ring. You don't enter that.
Yeah.
Um, that's an earned right. It's an earned privilege to get in there. Um, because if not, some folks just throw people in there, some trainers, some coach, just for the sake of whatever, and that's kind of not the culture that we're trying to build. So,
Absolutely. It's you're taking the sport seriously and you're taking the proper steps and because their safety is in your hands as a trainer, right? When they're in there, your safety, their safety is in your hands. And I know the doctor's there and I know the referee's there, but
mhm.
I just want you to really look at this picture because this picture to me says it all, right? I mean, Look at that, making friends. You know, you go to the gym and it becomes a family affair, and you're growing in the sport and you're making friends. And I really like that. So I'm so happy the young man got that win back. He deserved it. He works really, really, really hard in the gym. And now look, we're not just talking about young people. You have I've seen pictures, and we got pictures also of you have kids that are older in boxing too. So it's not just um, young kid. I just Kyle Cusick. I love Kyle. Kyle's a great guy, man, and his story is amazing, and how much work he puts in, to getting ready for a fight is important, and I'm sure he sets a great example for the young people in the gym.
Yeah, and he's great, and I'm honored that, Libby entrusts me with Aiden and his camps as well, so that's an honor and a privilege as well that he trusts me to help Kyle along the way when he's in preparation for his bouts, and knows that he's in good hands when he comes over to Loves, and he gets some sessions with me, and he gets some trainings with me, and again, that's something that when we opened the gym, that and there's V there with his little big head, and that's that's something that we want really, really, and we're going to continue to work hard and develop in these community relationships, and particularly with other gyms. Like, we want to be all inclusive. We want to work with others. We want others to work with us. We want cross training. Like, we want folks to experience what one another has, and I think that will build better relationships. And I also think that'll build a little bit of competitive fire amongst one another as well, which is a healthy thing, but also will entrust camp to camp. You build that trust and relationship with camp to camp, team to team, mitigate some of the drama that has been, which I've experienced over the past several years, and redevelop community. So I'm hoping to kind of continue that.
Absolutely, and I love the way it's all business and it's serious and you care at the same time, and it shows through that when you're talking. And you look at these gentlemen here. I mean, they're not kids, right? So there's something for everyone. It's something for the novice, for the very green. Novice and green, same thing, but
Hmm.
or someone that's a little bit more advanced, and up to like Kyle fighting professionally. You know what I mean? So there's a lot. And I know Mark from Wishes Gym. You've had them over and other gyms. And I like that. I like that networking and that community, and let's work together to make the sport a better sport. It doesn't have to be my gym's better than your gym. Let's do what's right for the sport of boxing, and most importantly, let's do what's right for the guys getting in that ring. You know what I mean? And I think that's a plus. So you're absolutely right in what you say.
Hmm. Yeah. And here's the thing, like, I know without a shadow of a doubt that there are other gyms that are producing better boxers, right? It would be naive for me to think otherwise, 100%. But I can answer that, and I can say that humbly, like, and that's okay. Like, that's all right. But what I think we do differently is we just bring a different element, right? Like, everybody that walks through our door gets greeted and treated as they need to be greeted and treated, and no one gets turned away, and everybody gets equal and fair opportunity and time. Like, and that's something special that you don't necessarily get at other places. Um, and that was important to us when we opened up. When that kid that's full of fear walks through that door, or that 60-year-old person, that 65-year-old man come to class, and our classes are packed every night. And when you have someone of senior age comes through the gym and sees 20 people younger than they are, screaming and banging on a bag, that can be intimidating, right? But when you approach them and you're saying, "Hey, welcome, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you," and then half of the people in that class run up to them and introduce themselves and then welcome them with open arms, like, that is something
That's
special, man.
and it brings that anxiety down, and should I
Hmm.
be here away, and realize that it's a family atmosphere. Yeah, you may have some guys loud on a gym. They may look tough and rugged, but we're
Mhm.
all here for the same purpose. You know what I mean? And I think that's great. And again, see, that's what I'm liking about the gym. You know, is great. So I know when I was training some fighters at a gym some time ago called JoJo's Box on the corner of Columbia and South Main Street. I've worked with some kids that were you know, tough kids from tough neighborhoods. You know, boxing is a sport where you see a lot of kids come from tough backgrounds. You know what I mean? And you're going to deal with that. And even some kids without dads and special needs students. I worked with a young man that was autistic, and he would come to the gym and very quiet. You know, we built a relationship through boxing, and people are going to understand that because you know you build in trust with these young people and older people, and I got a chance to work with a young man that was autistic, and we gained a real good, trusting relationship through boxing, where he started talking more and asked him about school and how things are coming, and you know, he wasn't one to talk much in class or participate in class, and I think coming to the boxing gym and working with him made him more confident in himself. We're not trying to build tough kids when we work with young people in boxing, but a more confident person. And I
Exactly.
think that's what your gym does. And is so I know you have the don't sweat the technique, and that's
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about that because that's not for like young people. That's for anyone that wants. Because look, and before we get there, and I'm sorry, I may be sometimes off the map because something enters in here and I don't want to forget it. You know, there's a proper way of hitting the speed bag. There's a
Mhm.
proper way of hitting the heavy bag. You can't just go in there and swing away. You know, you want to make sure your lower half's involved. You're not blowing your shoulders out. So you can't just come in there and think you're going to go hit the bag like crazy. You can injure yourself. You can get a pop. You can, everything. So I think, tell me a little bit about don't sweat the technique. Is that something where we're showing the proper technique of maybe hitting a bag, and you don't have to go so hard. You can, work things. So go ahead, Mike. I'll let you explain the don't sweat the technique.
That's actually a picture of Don't Sweat the Technique class right there
The
that
size of them
just
guys and
popped
and the
out.
girl.
Yep. So going back to when you originally opened up this podcast is, and going back to the most underutilized weapon in boxing, which is your jab, right? And it's kind of been dying off. Full self-disclosure, my jab was horrible. Like, I had the worst jab known to man. I was stocky and short and was a slugger, and I just really didn't have a good jab. And I worked endlessly on making sure my jab was not perfected, but at least I had a little bit of progress in that. And the one thing that the old school did teach us, right, was good fundamentals. And there's a lot of flash nowadays, and that's cool. Like, there's a lot of flash, and that's cool. That sells and all that, right? But you know as well as I do how many people you've seen drop, knocked out, great skill, great athletes, but poor fundamentals, right? So I was fortunate enough to be taught good fundamentals. So don't sweat the technique on Tuesdays and Thursdays is just that, is slowing things down, learning good fundamentals, right? When you jab, making sure that your shoulder is where your chin is, tucked underneath, protected. Same thing with your right hand, making sure that your hands are up on your rolls, you're rolling to the side, not back. Like, just these basic things, stepping off on your pivots, like just how to pivot, good old school fundamentals, slipping with your hands up. Like, the Philly shell is great, and there's a time and place for it, but that takes a lot of time to learn, right? That
Yeah,
takes a lot of time to learn. Let's practice on keeping your hands up, right? And practice catching some body shots without exposing your chin. Like, let's just keep the fundamentals sound and get those down nice and solid. And then we can expand upon your repertoire of things. So that's what those classes are about. And the proof is in the pudding, just in the short time that that we've been open, because I think all of the young folks that we've been putting out have shown kind of some good solid fundamentals. And we're still working on them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, it's a process. It takes time. These things are not going to happen overnight. Some of the, look, when we talk about the jab and and I see a lot of kids today. They get right in the gym and it's the shoulder roll, it's the Mayweather look, the hands down by the side. They don't realize what it took for Mayweather to master that. It took years for him to be able to master that, but he started with the hands up, and I don't, when you say the flash, it drives me crazy. And I speak with John Scully. I speak with Daryl Coley all the time. I speak with, professional fighters. I'm friends with, not to brag, but when I talk with, all these fighters that I know, Angel Manfredi and Antoine Eccles and Riddick Bowe, Riddick Bowe, two-time heavyweight champion of the world. We talk about not just boxing and where it's at, but the technique. You know what I mean? I see a lot of the flashy slapping of the mitts and all this stuff. You're never going to fight anybody that's doing that. You know what I mean? I like the mitts held right here. I don't like the mitts hold out here and catch. So there's a lot to it, and you're right. There is a lot of flash, and it does sell. But these guys that are flashy, they don't last very long in a sport. You know what I mean? It takes time, and hitting the jab and making sure when you throw that jab, your chin's tucked. I see a young man with the ball under his neck. There's a lot to it, and I love the way you're taking steps before we get out there and, you get in the ring and you're getting hit all the time and you don't know what to do in certain situations. I don't see footwork being taught. I don't see cutting off the ring. I don't see feints being taught or traps or anything like that. So it's great to hear that you're teaching that stuff. Like, that makes me feel so good because I love boxing and I see today everybody's a trainer. Everybody just wants to hit the mitts. No one wants that process, and it's so important in today's world and in a sport of boxing. It's to have that instilled in you from the beginning. You know what I mean? So it's just really good that you're doing things like that.
Yeah, there's I was watching something. There's a Ontario Boxing Club. They're out of California, and I don't remember the head coach's name, but he said something recently about how our sport is going into we're moving away from coaching into becoming trainers, and that's a dangerous thing, right?
Agreed.
Is that we're focusing way more on being trainers, and we're losing this really special element of being coaches and really getting down to what the essence of being a coach is. We're focusing more on the aspect. I mean, as a gym owner, you need to focus on business, of course, but it can't be all that. You need that. You're losing connection with the people who matter, right? And that's your community. And being a coach is that, like that really that interpersonal connection with the folks that walk through your door. And I never want to forget that. I never want to cross that threshold from being coached and then only be a trainer. And I see that so much. I see that so much now. Like we're losing this interpersonal connection based on profit motive and monetizing and all these things. And I've told you this, I can't stand social media. Like, you've hit me off with so many messages. I come back and I only do it. Yeah, I only do it because of business. Like, I only do it because I have to, because we lose this. I feel like we're losing this element of interpersonal human connection. And that's just me. Maybe I sound old and cranky,
right.
but
You're
that's
right.
just me.
You're right. And it's funny because we look today and I mean, just go on Facebook, right? We as soon as somebody walks in the gym and puts the gloves on, there's the phone, video them hitting the bag or video them, doing this. And it's funny because when I interviewed Bronco McCott, it was a great interview, and he's a Hall of Famer. And he's got a lot of his boxing stuff in the museum. He talked about just that about social media playing a big role in boxing. You know what I mean? And he was one that when he went to the gym, he shut his phone off and put it in the bag, and that was it. There was no video, and there was none of that. You know what I mean? And getting to what you're talking about with coaching and trainers, I think coaches. I like the term coach because it's more personal. You're building a relationship, you're building trust, and that fighter, that's what that fighter wants, that boxer wants, is to come back to that corner to someone he knows that he can trust and has a relationship that's looking out for them, you know. And I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. We need to work on this. These are things we need to work on. So I like it. I really do. I like what you're doing. I think you get some great people. Here we go, right here with a young man. Look at him. He looks excited, man.
Yeah, they're up. They came down from Boston. That's Lucky's Boxing Club. That's pro fighter Kevin Lucky Lewis's boy, Mickey. That's Mickey Lewis. Had his first bout, happy as a clam. Look at him.
Yeah.
Great showing.
Yeah. You know, and that's what it's about. Look at, he's happy. And we're going to get into boxing and when parents hear boxing, it's a violent sport and all this and that. We'll get into that. But you're bringing people into our community too. And we can't forget that. You know what I mean? Where you bring it, like you said, they're from Boston. They come all the way down to Love's Boxing in Fall River, Massachusetts. And I'll tell you a story real quick about why I think it's important that we get to venture out and we get to bring people in. When I was fighting amateur, I was in a tournament up the Cape, and I was with Ronnie Como, and we, you know, a bunch of us got into a van, and we went up to the Cape Cod, and we had breakfast, and we would fight later on in the afternoon. And you know, I grew up in the projects, no dad, you know what I mean? A lot of brothers and a lot of sisters, and I never really had an opportunity to leave Fall River because I just didn't have that growing up, you know. So when I had an opportunity to leave Fall River, we went to Cape Cod, and there was a boxing event going on, amateur boxing event, and we had breakfast and, you know, all this meet and greets before the actual event, and I had pancakes, all right? And I told the story before on my show. I had ordered pancakes, and when the pancakes came to me, I noticed ice cream. To me, it looked like ice cream on the pancakes, right? So what it was actually butter scooped out where it looked like ice cream, and right away I dialed right in thinking it was ice cream, and it was butter. And Ronnie Como looked at me, he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I thought that was ice cream." You know what I mean? So I got to experience things through boxing and being able to get out. And so I think it's great that when you take young people out of the gym and to different areas anywhere, you know, it's exciting. And that, again, that's what boxing does. And those are the little things we don't talk about, right? Is when we're working with young people. And I always loved working with that tough kid, a tough street kid, and breaking him down and building him up and building a relationship. I actually got young people to go back to school. You know, I worked with kids that dropped out of school and wanted to be boxers and wanted to be this, you know, this tough guy on the streets. And I said, it's not like that. That's not what boxing is. You know what I mean? And it's teaching right. And it drives me crazy when I see gyms today and just the way things are being done in a gym. It frustrates me, you know? So let's move on to the futures of boxing. Tell me a little bit about the futures of boxing, because I got a grandson that just turned 4 years old. And I'll tell you what, when I'm looking at this picture and going through your website, I'm excited to see this. So tell me a little bit about the futures of boxing.
So this is my favorite. So this is, I don't want to say the main reason, because everything's great about what we do, I believe. But man, so this picture makes my heart smile.
It does me too, man. It does me too.
That's young Connor Simons, and I call him Froggy, and that's Tommy Guns in the back, who I just trained right before coming on the show. And
Tommy Guns, huh?
Yep. So they were both 5 in that picture. They're 6 now. So they were both 5 when they started. And I do have a 4-year-old there, and so that's the future right there. That's what we named it, the future of boxing, right? So our kids program got so big that we had to split it up in different age groups, because what we found out that there wasn't a lot of affordable kids programs in boxing. And what makes us kind of unique in the location that we're at. So we're on the Tiverton line. We're right on Shove Street, 126 Shove Street, right off of South Main Street and the Tiverton line. So we have a lot of kids from Sunset Hill, Maple Gardens, but we also have folks from Rhode Island as well, right? So we have this very eclectic, diverse community, which is beautiful for these kids to interact with one another, right? It just really is a beautiful dynamic. Maybe kids that normally would not mix and be around one another now that experience that you said that you had with Mr. Como, right? When he like bringing you out and elsewhere and experience things. I don't even know what age I when I went to the Cape. Similar experience that you had.
Mhm.
But man, that was like a culture shock for me coming
Yeah,
from Fall
yeah.
River down to the Cape. Like some of these kids are now experiencing beautiful things, and our gym is so diverse. That's what makes it beautiful. But um, sorry, I went off a little bit there. But
No, you
the
didn't go off, coach. That's beautiful. Go ahead, man.
the so we had to split them up in age groups. So from 5 to 10 and 10 to, or 5 to 9 and then 10 to 14, because I just couldn't, and John couldn't handle the amount of kids that we had, especially in the winter. It died off a little bit in the summer, of course, but in the winter it was just bananas,
Yeah.
like crazy amount of kids, which was beautiful. But we were able to support a couple autistic kids as well, as you mentioned, which was awesome. Um, and another thing, which I really wish I don't know how, but we're gonna figure it out. But the bullying in school systems, in the four of a school system, is crazy right now, and it's becoming an issue. We have a lot of kids that are coming through right now that I've suffered some severe bullying, not just like, hazing or, but some severe like assaults, and young kids, 9, 10, 11, 12, like some severe assaults. It's a problem, and they're trying to seek a way out. And I'm glad it's the way out is our gym and not somewhere else.
Yeah, and when you talk about bullying, let's just stay there for a minute. I had a chance to work with some young people that were bullied in school, and you know, the parents right away like, I want my kid to defend himself and be able to hit back. But it's about, I think a bully, they target kids on the way they carry themselves, if they're quiet and they don't participate, and they're to themselves. But I think once you start boxing and you start being around different people, you walk different, you sound different, you're interactive, you're not shy. And I think when we talk about bullying and getting a young person into gyms, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, defend yourself, but we're talking about confidence and being to walk with your head high and feel good about yourself. So I think that plays a role into it too. What are some of the things you do with talking with young people when they come into your gym and they want to box because they've been bullied?
So first, I just want to know where they're at, and mainly like emotionally, right? Like I think it's important to again meet a kid where they're at and kind of figure out like what's your experience, like kind of get some little bit of background and it's important to know what they want from me. Like what do they want from me? Like what do you want me to assist you with? Is it just getting into shape? Is it to know a couple punches? Like, I really would like to know a little bit of directions. And sometimes they don't say. Sometimes it comes from the parents, and then sometimes it's we develop. We had this young woman that Coach John developed a great relationship with, who had an anxiety attack just walking through the door and wanted a way out and didn't know how to express it. Now she doesn't want to leave. She runs her mouth all the time. You know what I mean? And that's just from building that trusting relationship, that safe haven relationship. So first, I want to meet them where they're at. I want to know what brought them here. It could be the parents, it could be, and then I just want to know, how can I help them out? Like, what can I do to assist you? Like, and we talk to them on a kid's level, but like,
Yeah.
um, but in a nutshell, it's just like, what can I do to help you? And just let me know, and I'll do my best to provide it.
Yeah, and I think it's important that when you talk about meeting them at their level, and that's what it is. You know, what are you trying to accomplish? You know what I mean? I know you're going through, you know, emotional issues or whatever it may be within school. You know, and a lot of kids sometimes they don't want to fight back and beat the bully up. They just want to be able to do be confident and know, like Mikey Gudrow, right? He was a kid that started boxing because he got into bullying. I've interviewed Michael on numerous occasions. I asked him about it. He was one that never participated in class, very quiet to himself, and it got bullied a lot for it. But once he started boxing, he didn't go back to school and beat up any of the bullies. He started becoming more active in the classroom, more talkative, and things like that. So that's the confidence we're talking about. We're not talking about going back and knocking a bully out with a 3-punch combination. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about building confident kids and teaching them the proper way to handle certain situations. So the last result is wanting to hit someone. That's the last thing you want to do. You know what I mean? I think it's important when we talk about bullying that we talk about that also. So. I have a comment real quick coming in from Justin Vieira Senior. He says, "You're doing God's work, saving kids without even knowing it." Right?
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that.
That's perfect. So I think it's important when we have an anti-bullying classroom, and when I talk about bringing boxing to high school and making it a high school sport, I'm not talking about, you know, having fights and things like that. You know what I mean? And I just want to go back real quick, Coach. You talked about bringing kids from the projects and meeting kids with the suburbs, right? And I think that's where those relationships stop. And they can realize it doesn't matter where I come from or what my background is. I am who I am. And you're with me on a one-on-one level. And we can become friends. And we can learn from each other. There may be things I can learn from you, and there may be things you can learn from me. You know, we've gone through different situations, and I'm here to help you. And we build friendships. That's what it's about when it comes to boxing with young people. That's what it's about. The last thing is throwing punches. That, you know what I mean? And I think that's what Love's Boxing is all about. And I think that's what I love about the gym and the things that you guys are doing and putting things together. So, look, real quick, I know you just had an event. Tell me a little bit about the event. How did it come about, and how do we do?
It was good. It was a lot of stress, but it was good. You know, we had four. Right? Yeah, we had 4 people on the card. So, you know, trying to, you know, manage everything, and then corner, and then you have, you know, it is what it is. It was our first one, so I look at everything as a learning experience, right? Absolutely. But it was absolutely great. It was just an exhibition. All we can do is exhibitions without, you know, inviting our friends at USA Boxing, of course. But it was great. I couldn't ask for a better turnout, man. It was for our first one. It was great. Absolutely no issues whatsoever. Tons of kids. We ate. We had a good time. The show was great. Every single performance was absolutely outstanding. There wasn't one boring bout. All different skill levels there, from you know, young kids. What I mean young, you know, 13, sub novice, you know, to novice. You know, so it was all different levels of experience. We had Johnny Vigo, who's 52 masters. So it was just great. There's young G right there. He boxes out of Stay Ready.
Another good gym.
Yeah, this young man has been an intricate part of my guys sparring, getting in preparation for his bout. So nice family, nice young man. Yeah, so we've developed a great relationship with them, which I've known from my previous gym as well. So we went and supported them this weekend as well. So again, that's kind of what we've just been trying to do, you know. And of course, we always support PAL and
all the local gyms. You guys want to work together, you know what I mean? And then I think that's what's important, you know.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we even go cross over to Rhode Island and support Gillette's and you know, it's an MMA gym, but they do a lot of boxing
Yeah,
stuff
Tim
and
does a lot.
over.
Another good gym guy would you know the right idea when it comes to teaching young people. And I think
Hmm.
we got to remember when we're teaching young, we're molding these people, their brains. You know, we don't want to create bullies, right? That's what we
Hmm.
don't want to do. We want to teach them the proper way. Now, let me ask you this: do you have any rules that you tell your young fighters when they're outside the gym, if of a situation occurs, how to handle it, and do you have any rules like that?
Yeah, be humble but confident. Is one of them. Always carry yourself with dignity, honor, and respect, but be humble and confident. That's something that we talk about, um, especially when it's very difficult being a teenager in this modern world, right? Never mind if you start to get good at this craft, um, and you come from someone who was being bullied to no longer being bullied, it's only natural for yourself to start develop this ego, right? So we really try to instill this culture within our gym. Maintain, always be humble, right? But also be confident. Like it's okay that if you're confident, right? This is what it's designed to do. Like boxing's designed to develop confidence, self-efficacy, you know, but always remain humble, always look out for your brothers and sisters. It's very important. So we try to always look out for your family. We talk about these things over and over and over again before practice, after practice. Like this is kind of, you know, what we do. Every time after a drill, especially in the future of boxing, it's mandatory that you give your fellow teammate a dap on the way out and say good job on a, you know what I mean, on a drill. Like, so we're trying to develop this culture that we think will carry out into the so-called real world, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's tough. It is tough nowadays. You know what I mean. So let me ask you this. Let's talk about some of your coaches. Let the people know some of your coaches and what they're doing there. I know you got a few good ones there, and give them a shout out.
So first we got my partner John Burt, who came over with me from punishment in Swansea. I actually coached John along with Aaron Bernardo, and he actually had his first bout. I believe he was 58. Um, so he certainly wasn't no spring chicken.
Mm,
But man, this gentleman's got a heart of gold. Aligns with what I wanted to do all along, and still has a fire to compete, you know.
yeah,
And so he was the perfect match for when we came over. Um, we have Johnny Vasconcelos, who's been around the sport for Jesus, just as long, if not longer, than I have. MMA bouts, boxing bouts, kickboxing bouts. He's just a wealth of knowledge, just in combat sports in general. You know, people utilize him all over for his knowledge. So we're just super grateful. I'm grateful to have. I'm grateful to have coached him. You know,
yeah, yeah.
you know, and he just competed again this, you know, a week ago and looked good. I got that head moving a little bit and got his footwork, you know, decent, you know. So that's a blessing. And then I always get help from, you know, from other guys that just come in. Those are my three coaches right now, you know. And what people don't understand is, you know, my rate, that kid's boxing program right now is $30 a month.
Wow.
My adult program, and this is all, and my adult program is our adult program is $50 a month, right? And that's all classes and open gym. We have an open gym. We have a gym. We're not just a boxing gym. We have a gym in there as well, right? So like, and for a specialty gym, I mean, obviously we can't compete with Crunch and Planet Fitness, but they don't do what we do. They don't offer the classes and the specialized training that we offer. So what folks really don't understand is like, we don't make money. Like, we don't make money and operating a business like this, right? We're just operating in the black. Like, we don't make money, which is fine because we didn't go into this to make money. I just wanted to pay my bills, make a safe haven for folks, and teach and do good for the community. Um, so it's tough to hire, and it's tough to, outside of John, myself, and Johnny V, to really, and my wife does most of the admin stuff. So without family and the connection, it's very difficult to get folks to commit to for boxing coaches and so on and so forth. So we've had folks. I got my buddy Sammy, who he comes and helps out, who's got great boxing knowledge. Kyle helps out. Like, we have folks that have, a world of knowledge that comes and assists when they can. So
Absolutely, and that's good to see. You know what I mean? It's important. You don't have to be this great boxer to be a good coach. You know what I mean? You just got to know the sport a little bit. And I'm sure there are other coaches in there that work with you to familiarize yourself with it. And it's great. So you're located at 126 Show Street in Fall River, Massachusetts. Love is boxing and fitness, right? Loves boxing and fitness. So you got to remember the boxing and fitness thing. I think, Coach, what you're doing is great over there. Is there anything else that we may have not touched on that you want to touch on?
No, I think, man, I think you did a fantastic job. I appreciate you having me on. I think if you haven't, come check us out. Come check us out. All's welcome, including other gyms, man. I say it all the time. Feel free to come on through. We've had gyms, Pawtucket, Providence, obviously always comes down. New Bedford, like, we have the gyms that have come and visited us, usually a reoccurring guest at our gym, right? So come down, check us out. Sparring Wednesday night. Sunday morning is 9 a.m. We have you have to hit myself or John up for the invite, but we have open sparring for all gyms that can come down. It's all supervised and all that, and sometimes it's just a madhouse of talent with gyms all over, just getting work in and helping one another out. That is a beautiful thing to see. Yeah, that's awesome. Watching, sometimes 5 different gyms in there with 20, 25 people, working with one another, trying to make one another improve is something that you don't normally see. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and boxing, when you're sparring, you're not in there trying to kill each other, right? You're working on technique, you're working on different things. So I know we got another question from Justin. He says, so your gym is more than just a boxing gym. What other classes do you offer for adults? I know you have fitness classes. Are there any other classes that you offer for adults?
So we did offer two other classes. And before we went on, Jerry, I told you unfortunately, I had 2 other trainers, personal trainers that did HIIT classes. They did strength and conditioning classes. They're on hiatus right now. We're looking for a replacement for them, but I don't foresee it taking too long to get the replacement. It's much easier to find personal trainers than it is boxing coaches. So, but we do offer that. We're just on a little hiatus, so we just have to wait a little bit. So be patient. We usually put out posts and say this is coming back, this is coming back. So if you just like our social media pages, we're very good at keeping our posts current and active.
So you're on Facebook, Instagram.
That's it. Facebook, and that's enough, Jerry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know. I get you. Yeah, I get you. And the webpage. What is the webpage? www.lovesboxing.com.
Lovesboxing.com. Yep.
Lovesboxing. I know the www don't need to go in, but lovesboxing.com. Check their webpage out. They're updating it, and you'll You'll know what classes are available. Now, you do private lessons also?
Yeah. Yep. Every day. I do privates. I have limited availability because I'm usually booked. I think I got maybe 2-3 days, 3 slots. Actually, that's it. But if anybody's interested, my email is on the website. My email's on social media outlets. You can hit me up and I can tell you what my availability is. So it's mbryantlovesboxing.com at gmail.com. But it should be on there.
So if you didn't get a chance to watch this video, share the video. Remember, you can go over to Loves Boxing on Facebook and on Instagram. Like the page, follow them, and you'll get all the information that you want coming up and scrolling through. It's a great program. I just before we go, we got I know Fight Night's November 12th, and that's been put on by Hurricane Promotions, Punishment Striking Systems, and Aaron Bernardo. That's an event that's coming on at the PAL November 12th. If you want tickets and want to be able to sponsorship, because these guys need sponsors. These are the events that are taking place right here in the great city of Fall River, Massachusetts. So I just want to touch on this real quick. Fight Night, November 12th, Hurricane Promotions, Punishment Striking System, Aaron Bernardo. You can look them up on Facebook. Get all the information, and they're going to help you get what you need. I do want to point out that West Point Cadets also, November 19th, will be taking on some of the Golden Glove fighters and Golden Glove winners in our area at the PAL, November 19th. West Point Cadets, national champions on that group. They're coming from New York, and I know you have a fighter on that card. Tell me a little bit about that guy.
Yeah, we have Sadi, same first and last name, just spelled different. Smart, awesome young man.
Yeah.
Cruiserweight. If one of the hottest work is, I was gonna say the hottest, where we got tons of hard work, is in the gym. But man, this young man is he's actually in school to become a biochemist. Like he's this kid is smart as a great young man. He's a sponge for the sport, and he's come such a long way. And yeah, we're gonna have fun on the 19th. It's gonna be, and he's a powerhouse, man. This kid is, man, he's something special. Yeah. So it should be a fantastic show. And I think everybody should go out and support whatever. We're finally getting, as a city and the surrounding communities, back to when we were kids, Jerry, with boxing, right? It's been like very dead. And I say maybe 5 years ago, even up 3-4 years ago, where there wasn't a lot of shows, right? So we had to travel, or we had to maybe do some things that we shouldn't have. And now it's like, man, we're getting all these shows. So everybody that's is a fan of the sport should go and support these shows, and the more shows we have, the more experience our kids and our boxers get,
Absolutely. And I just want to thank Coach Mike for coming on. Remember, loveisboxers.com, Facebook, Instagram, look them up, give them a follow. Great program, great young kids program, adult program. You can be from novice to the open fighters. There's something there for you. Great coaches. I'm definitely going to want to come through. I'd love to get back in boxing and working with young people. I have a passion for it that I won't let go. I think about it all the time, but I do concrete work, and that's a little tough on the body. But I want to thank you so much for coming on, and I'm definitely going to get to you, Jim. I want to say the same thing Coach Mike says. Let's get out and sponsor all these gyms. Stay ready, right? Punishment Striking Systems, PAL, Love is Boxing. I mean, there's so much. Boxing coming back to Fall River, and I think we're heading in the right direction. We're training these young people the proper way, and it's only going to make for better fights, right? More technique and styles make fights, and this is the styles we want. Coach Mike from Love is Boxing, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure to have you on tonight.
Likewise, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll be in touch. So that's Coach Mike from Love is Boxing. I think it's a great program, great gym. It was great to have him on because I speak very highly of this gym, and there's a lot of great gyms in Fall River. A lot of great things going on. I'm right at the 8 o'clock mark, but if you just give me a minute, I want to thank everybody for viewing tonight. Everybody for chiming in and commenting. This doesn't happen without you. I want to thank my producer Blaze Man behind the scenes, putting up all the pictures and the videos. Works really hard at these shows. Again, share the video, share the interviews, let people know that there are great boxing gyms in the area of Fall River doing the right thing by, teaching young people to teaching adults. You don't have to box. You don't have to be a boxer. You don't have to compete. And you can go to these gyms. Boxing is one of the greatest workouts in the world to get in shape. So just remember that. You don't have to walk into one of these gyms and think you're going to spar with somebody or you're going to box with somebody. It doesn't have to. It's called Loves Boxing and Fitness for a reason. And a lot of these other gyms, you don't have to box. You can go to get in good shape, hit the bag, hit the mitts, jump rope. It's a great cardio workout, and it's great for you. Again, thank you so much for tuning into this special edition of the Neutral Corner. We'll see you Thursday night at 7 p.m. Check out some of the other shows on the network. The Rabbit Hole, Miss Tammy and Blaze Show, The Side Draft, The Neutral Corner, and many other shows coming soon. Again, thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and have a happy, safe Halloween.
Is there any way you can lose?
Yeah, if I don't show up. And that's the only way I can lose. And believe me, I will be there.
This is Daryl, Too Sweet Coley, 38-2, 28 knockouts, former #1 welterweight in the world, on the Neutral Corner with Jerry Sosa.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass. You won't do shit.